That's so cool. So a lot of nasality in the beginning, right? And then he goes into this whole thing that's super popular right now, where kind of like the lips relax and the soft palate relax, and you just kind of do that, and it rounds out the tone. It creates contrast to what the nasality was doing, what he was doing with the nasality.
It won't work. Oh, God will do what He said He would do.
Nasality in runs. It's interesting. We don't see a lot of that from more female artists. We see it primarily with like men who are in sort of like the R&B or pop or soul, stuff like that. But with what makes nasality kind of nice is that some of the breath pressure. So you can close and open your nasal passages based on what you're doing inside your mouth. If you lift your soft palate, you close off your nasal passages. If you kind of just let it go, you can actually feel it. Like if you go nasal versus if you talk normally, you kind of feel the soft palate going down. And what that does when the soft palate goes down, you open up your nasal passages, is excess breath pressure is going to go through your nose. So it relieves a lot of tension and it relieves a lot of air pressure in exchange for a kind of a more strident sound. And all this is to say that runs become a lot easier because your folds will thicken in response to breath pressure because of what's called the Bernoulli effect. And I won't get into that right now, but just know that if you use more breath, your folds will thicken, therefore they move slower, therefore you can't do runs as quickly. There you go.
You just stand by His word, said He will come through. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
I love those voice cracks on purpose, obviously. And then he pulls back a little bit, so he gets rid of that nasality to come into this softness, and he stops tilting. So he's not doing anything. He's in his larynx is very neutral, and it gives it a very sensitive tone. Right there.
Take it over.
Ooh.
Said He would do it all. He will stand by His word.
I love that power. She comes in way different. So the technique that this is Jaquan, right? So what Jaquan is doing right here is very microphone technique, right? Is when you're using a microphone, you can sing a lot more softly. For obvious reasons, you have amplification, right? What I believe Tiffany Andrew is the woman who comes in after him. Check with chat here. Just a second.
Take it over.
Love that handoff.
God will do what He.
So that's a lot of power. So if you're in church and you don't have a microphone, that's what's going to carry.
Said He would do it all. He will stand by His word. He will come through. Oh, God.
So it's interesting. So what allows a lot of people to project is what's called the areoepiglottic sphincter, and I have all this stuff on my keyboard, so I gotta move all this. Sweet. All right. So so if I go right, or if I tilt that's not going to carry that well. So what we do in opera and any style where you have to project, you contract the areoepiglottic sphincter, which is right above the folds, and it will highlight higher frequencies. frequencies that not only carry well from a distance, but will also occupy frequencies that are not often covered by other instruments. So that if I can, let's see, right? So that kind of that bite.
Will do what he said he would do. He will stand by his word. He will come through. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. He won't work. No weapon formed against me shall.
Sorry, I just I wanted to repeat what's cool about the areoepiglotic sphincter is that it's so good at cutting through that you you can actually be very quiet in almost every other aspect of your voice, which allows a lot of these agile runs, and so that the areoepiglotic sphincter will allow you to still cut even though you're lightening up.
Said he would do, he will stand by. He won't work.
Sorry, I just want to hear it again. I love it.
Formed against me shall prosper.
Her ability to just go anywhere. I love it. I love it so much. There's a lot going on. I won't get into too much of why she can do all these things and like all of the, like, I would be pausing every second. There's just that much going on. All of these little things that she does to traverse her registers and make different sounds as she does change her registers is involved, and it's really cool. I would say if you're going to pay attention to anything, pay attention to her vowels, because she's using a lot of vowel modification.
Said he would do, he will stand by his word concerning you.
Very much brighter vowels as she ascends. Brighter vowels tend to do better to highlight. Okay, we're going to get into some physics. When you have a, let me see if I can do it with the cup. No, I can't. I need a bottle or something like that. When you hit a note, so you can manipulate your vocal tract to create resonance around that note. So right, you see how it got a little bit louder and more resonance as I changed vowels. This is what, again, any style that involves projecting without a microphone has to do that. And so that's why she's brightening her vowels as she ascends, to add power.
Oh, God will do what he said he promised he'd do. He will stand by his word concerning you.
Yes, so.
Falsetto, yes. And I love, this is what you get to do when you're the accompanist of your own stuff. He just like adds like another little bit of time, right? he stops playing and then adds just a little bit more. Yes.
Formed against me shall prosper. It won't work.
Nice. Beautiful. So, I point this out a lot when people do runs. The mark of somebody who's using runs in a musical capacity is somebody who's emphasizing meter and doesn't forget about meter. So watch how he changes the vowels like on the beat. You see what I'm saying? Like that little chin thing that he does gives it a little bit more of an emphasis on the beat. I don't understand what it is with the internet and singing technique and this idea that falsetto is a bad thing. This is so smooth into the transition into his top because he's using falsetto. Yes. And you could tell it's falsetto because you got that little airy hiss, which is literally air escaping from the folds.
It won't work. All you have to do is believe it.
Wonderfully round tone.
It won't work.
I love that. I love that. Closing the mouth intentionally. Right? What she's doing with that part of the biting the lip sort of thing. I like the sound of it. That's as simple as that.
It won't work. No weapon
Nice.
against me. It won't work. I said no weapon.
Yes. She's doing a lot of really cool stuff, from belting to introducing vibrato. Like, so when you belt, the cricoid cartilage tilts. Putting your head back helps with that. And then you can switch between cricoid tilt and thyroid tilt. You can even do both at the same time. And she's just dancing between those two. It's so natural for her, which it's funny, we all struggle with, belting and getting the high notes and all that stuff. But the mark of someone who's really great is to make these things look easy. That's the objective. So when you practice, you have to go for making it easy. You have to.
Against me, it won't work. I said no weapon. No weapon formed against you. Oh, it won't work. No.
Yes. This thing that she's doing on the bottom to brighten the vowels helps to project the low, and then to kind of keep it a little bit more smooth on the top, she's doing that closed lip thing, which I love.
It won't work. No. You may cry sometimes. Yeah. You may want to give up sometime, but hang on in there.
Yes. Yes. Okay, this oh, I can't do it on her note. Hang on. This contracting of the false folds intentionally. You have to be very, it sounds really, really like robust and like you're really putting this grind on it, but actually the breath has to be very gentle when you do that. Very little air. Which means a smaller inhale. Like you notice she's not gulping in air, right? You don't even notice her breathing in her inhale. And that's really important here because a lot of the stuff she's doing requires this gentleness or it won't work. If you put too much air and you're trying to contract your false folds, you'll go flat. And it could lead to vocal injury, that's kind of unlikely unless you're really pushing past comfort. But yeah, it's really cool.
Hang on in there. 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 Hang on in there.
Well, I'm here for the clapping.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright.
What the clapping helps too is if you're inviting call and response and you don't set up this idea that there's a rhythm, there's a beat to it, then it's hard for folks to know when it's their time to come in because they don't know if you're going to play with it. So that the clapping really helps with that.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright.
Oh, yes. Listen to that power. You can hear the reverberation in the room. Yes, so much tilt on that cricoid cartilage to give that power, that belt. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So what really works really well is, I said like the false fold stuff, you have to be really gentle. Belting, you have to be very gentle. Belting takes very, very, very little air, which is kind of the opposite. It takes a lot of energy, You have to have this, what Estelle calls, I'm not Estelle certified, but it's head, neck, and shoulder energy. You have to be really, really intensely active posture, very small inhale. So it takes a lot of energy, but it also takes a lot of very little air. And what's cool is that because she's already doing that with the false folds, she can go right into belting because her air is already where it would need to be.
From against me, shall prosper. 'Cause it won't work. No.
Yeah.
Nothing against me. Won't prosper. 'Cause it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Said it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright.
Wow. I love whenever you have repetition like this, you gotta do something with it. And they don't need to do anything extravagant when they repeat because it's soothing, right? This is like catharsis. This is like, I wish I could just have a group of people together and we sing this sort of stuff and we just have like this nice calm gathering where we can just enjoy the singing and sort of pass it on to each other. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I love the comfort that you get from this kind of a performance where everyone's just repeating, "You're going to be all right." It's, it makes me feel like things are going to be all right. What a shocker.